Welcome to the Total Soccer Show and our latest batch of listener questions. On this episode, we're looking at Weston McKennie's vast array of squad numbers. We're looking at successful managers who've come in mid-season. And we're asking if Wilfried Nancy has damaged Major League Soccer and much more. Ooh. My name's Ryan Bailey. Joining me today, the Taylor Rockwell's here. Hello, Taylor.
Hello, the Ryan Bailey. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing wonderfully well on this Checks Notes Saturday morning. How about you?
Of course. Always strange to record on Saturday mornings. But, you know, when we all agreed that we couldn't go a full 2 days without seeing each other's faces, it was really the only option.
Exactly. And this one's actually live. It doesn't matter when you're listening to it. It's live as well. Crazy.
You actually got me there for a second. I was like, wait, are we back in the Christmas perineum? Is it actually Saturday?
Oh, Graham Ruthven, hello. You've gone and used an excellent term for that period of the year. Thank you very much. Hello, how are you?
I'm good, Ryan. It's a more gentle term than the one you used the last time we spoke about this.
Off air, yes.
Yeah. No, I think it was on air. It was very much in an episode.
Did you say perineum?
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Taylor, you missed all this.
Okay, all right, cool. Just making sure I heard that correctly. All right.
The period between Christmas and New Year is the in-between period.
Yes, okay.
Ryan has a different word for it.
A nickname for Aguchi Onyewu, maybe?
Yeah, that one, yeah.
Hello, Joe Larry, how are you?
Was it not Graham who said it? I swear it was Graham.
No, it was Ryan. It was because I was shocked.
Fair enough.
Nothing to do with it.
Fair enough. No, go, Ryan. Actually, you go.
That was Patreon, surely.
It must
Possibly,
have
been.
Yeah. Maybe
We've
not.
migrated it to the main feed.
I don't know. All I know is, guys, I'm glad it's Saturday. You can't see it, but I've got a nice big bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch right here with 2% milk. I've got the cartoons on behind my camera here. It's Looney Tunes all day, every day. Saturday mornings are the best. I'm thrilled to be here with you guys.
Oh, glad to hear it. And you're on the floor in front of the couch, right? As
Correct.
Joe Larry
Yep,
practice.
on the floor. You know.
The more
come on. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
The more Joe talks about food, the more I realise he's living my best life. Like when we talked about soup on the Patreon. Was that last week or was that this week? I can't quite remember.
It was this week.
And Joe's 3 soups, I was like, yeah, they were all better than mine. That's what I wish I was eating, rather than just the British vegetable gruel that is served in my bowl at lunchtime.
That's like a top 10 nicest thing anyone's ever said to me, Graham. That's beautiful.
Really?
Nah, it's probably top 100. I don't know.
I'll still take that.
Very
It's pretty good.
All right. We've got ourselves some listener questions to get to. Before we do so, patreon.com/Total Soccer Show. The aforementioned is where you'll get inappropriate terms, you'll get bonus episodes, and you'll get access to our Discord server where all the cool kids are hanging out. Join us in there. Thanks to everybody who does, including several people who've submitted listener questions to this here episode, including Diego. Lots of O's in Diego's name, who submitted this question. With Enzo Maresca being sacked and Liam is it Liam Rosenio?
I have always heard it Liam Rosenio, but
Rosenio.
Carl Anka insists that it's Rosenior.
Rosenia.
Are we
Rosenoir?
I mean, we rejected Bruno Fernandes. Are we rejecting Liam Rosenior as well?
Okay. I'm going to start this question again. With Enzo Maresca being sacked and that guy Liam coming in, what are the examples of Premier League managers coming in mid-season and having success in the league? Has anyone come in and won the league? Is it mostly just relegation-threatened teams? Is there any hope here, says Diego for this question. I think, Graham, the closest I came to this was Roberto Di Matteo coming in at Chelsea in 2012, who won the Champions League and the FA Cup, but notably not, as Diego asks, the league, where I think they finished like 5th or 6th, didn't they? Yeah.
Yep, I don't think any manager has come in mid-season and then won the Premier League title in that season. The list of Premier League winning managers is shockingly small, considering the Premier League has been around for, 35 years at this point. So it's Ferguson. This is in chronological order of when they won their first one. Ferguson, Dalglish, Wenger, Mourinho, Ancelotti, Mancini, Pellegrini, Ranieri, Conte, Guardiola, Klopp, and Arne Slot. That is it. None of them were appointed mid-season. So I think Di Matteo pushed. Did he actually push Chelsea up the table much? Obviously, they won the Champions League in that season, but in terms of their league position, I don't think they actually improved that much. The Chelsea example that the manager who did improve their league position was Thomas Tuchel. They were 9th when Frank Lampard was sacked in January 2021, and then under Tuchel they finished 4th and also won the Champions League, which has happened twice for Chelsea with mid-season appointments. Yep. So that's good news for Liam. He should start thinking about where he's going to keep his Champions League winners' medal this season.
That's why I was laughing, to be honest, because I couldn't tell if this question was asked in jest, because you're right that no manager has won the league taking over. But Chelsea have done this like 3 or 4 times, depending on how you want to go with Gus Hiddink, where he has stabilized and improved them, and they win. Do they win the FA Cup with Gus Hiddink?
Yes, they do, yeah.
And then they also win that with Roberto Di Matteo. So they've had 3 different managers, and then one of them twice, come in, stabilize, and improve things mid-season. So Chelsea, no strangers to this one, but not winning the league. I would say, looking abroad, Zinedine Zidane, when he takes over Real Madrid, is another good example, if not perfect example, because he does not win the league, but he takes over with them already out of the Copa del Rey, 5 points behind Barcelona. They're in third. They finish second, 1 point behind Barcelona, but obviously they win the Champions League that season, and it sets up them winning it 2 more times in a row. So I'm going to say Zidane is another good example of somebody coming in, taking over, and just kind of improving the vibes and making things work quite a bit better.
Very good. Joe, any more examples here? I mean, obviously, the question accounts for your big Sams and the relegation rescuers who come in as well.
Yeah, I avoided that category for the most part. My list, the Premier League list that I have, is Tuchel has already been mentioned. I have Eddie Howe at Newcastle, going 19th to 11th, I believe, when he's appointed in November of 2021. Nothing else is happening at Newcastle around that time. But that is, I think, an answer here. Unai Emery, when he gets to Villa in 22, I believe they're 14th when he takes over, and then they were like 3 points out of the relegation zone. So I suppose that is like roughly a relegation threatened team, and they end up finishing 7th. And then the last one that I have doesn't really work, but is a reminder that you can start some real progress here. Arteta, when he takes over, they're in 10th and finishes in 8th that season. That really helps, I think, start a new trajectory for Arsenal. I mean, there's lots of other sporting structural things that happen along the way as well. But Arsenal are probably going to win the title this year, and it's been a long time coming. But those things, I think, come from systemic progress that was made, and I think Arteta was part of that. But there are a decent number of examples of this, which I think is fascinating.
Klopp as well as a mid-season appointment. I think he was like October. Didn't make a huge amount of progress in his first season, but similar to Arteta, like obviously that was the start of something. The other 2 candidates that I had on my list, Harry Redknapp. So Spurs had 2 points from their first 8 games of the season when Harry Redknapp came in the 2008-2009 season. They end up finishing 8th that season. Also made the League Cup final, lost to Manchester United on penalties, like a very good Manchester United team on penalties that year. And then, I don't know what, Taylor, I'm interested in your opinion on this one. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who is definitely Saturday as we're recording, we now know whether he is going back to Manchester United or not in the year 2025. That's fun. But he won 14...
Not the year 2025, but all right.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Man, nailed that. The year 2026.
We're on the other side of the perineum, Graham.
Exactly. So Solskjaer won 14...
the 5th John Wick movie.
He won 14 out of 19 games, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, right? Manchester United shifted that season from 6th to 6th, and he won 14 out of 19 games. I feel like if that were to happen this year, you'd win the title with 14 wins out of 19 games. That was a little bit of an anomaly that Man United didn't shift there, but I think a lot of United fans will they vividly remember that bounce back period after Mourinho, Solskjaer coming in, which is why he seems to be on his way back to Old Trafford now.
Yeah, that's fun. On not a mid-season appointment, but for the award for greatest improvement of a manager, surely no one can beat Claudio Ranieri coming in at Leicester, who just survived the previous season with Nigel Pearson and then literally won the league the next season. No one's ever going to beat that because you can't, right?
Especially because of the real reason Nigel Pearson was fired, which everyone forgets in the summer. Do you remember? Anyone remember? I'm sure I brought this up before, and I always feel like I'm bringing... Yeah, it was the Thai orgy involving his son.
Yeah.
Or what story?
Whatever.
Was it he called it depressed ostriches as well, had their heads in the sand, right? Was that him? That was him, wasn't it?
That was him.
What
He's a weird dude.
Very good. All right, thank you very much, Diego, for your question there. We hope we answered it sufficiently, as we hope we answered this question from Matt Busby, who says, how far does Wilfried Nancy's disastrous reign at Celtic set MLS back in terms of respect and reputation on the global landscape? Oh, boy. Joe, where do you want to start with this? I can't imagine it helped the reputation of the league in Europe, his tenure at Celtic.
No, I certainly wouldn't say so. I mean, honestly, I don't think I'm the best person to answer this question. I think Graham and probably yourself, Ryan, are better positioned to answer this. My sense is Celtic fans are going to look down on MLS, although they've had multiple MLS exports go and be very, very good for them. But when I posted about how unfortunate the whole situation was with Nancy and Celtic, I basically exclusively had Celtic fans calling him the worst coach of all time, which is obviously absurd and idiotic. But I think there's a lot of people now that will look at MLS and laugh at it because fans are not always rational. It's in the name, and that's perfectly fine. But my sense is that this probably doesn't move the needle much. Graham, do you disagree? I'm curious.
No, I'm smirking, Joe, because you've had all the Celtic fans and I've had all the MLSers replying to me saying that the reason
we did a nice
he
little
failed
exchange
was
program, Graham. We did a study abroad trip.
the talking point from the other side is he didn't the Scottish football was so bad that his method didn't work. So I've had it from one side and you've had it from the other side. I think in terms of I think there's different answers to this depending on what you're talking about, right? So in terms of players and the general quality of the league, I don't think Wilfried Nancy at Celtic kind of does anything to change the reputation of MLS. Unfortunately, and I'm not saying this is fair, I reckon it is probably a pretty sizable blow to the league's managerial class in terms of getting opportunities, at least in the UK. Like Wilfried Nancy he won't get another job at a high level, and not just in Scotland, but I think in the rest of the UK and English football as well. I think what you need to understand is in the same way that it happened to Bob Bradley, and maybe there's something in that there, maybe there's a common thread. He's a joke, Wilfried Nancy. He's a meme, and he will be forever, and particularly in Scottish football. When you last 33 days as Celtic manager, I guess that comes with the territory. In the same way that Russell Martin, it's not purely an anti-MLS or an anti-American thing. Russell Martin will be the same for Rangers after the way that his reign went. But yeah, I think because there aren't really any other examples of MLS managers taking big European jobs, I'm talking about pure products of MLS. I'm not counting Patrick Vieira, who gets the Nice job largely because he's like Patrick Vieira. But because there aren't really any others, I think all sorts of big picture assumptions get lumped on Wilfried Nancy. And yeah, I've seen bad takes about MLS as a league over the last few weeks, but I think it's the managers that are going to feel the brunt of that from front offices and the people who are actually making decisions, not just idiots on social media.
I think I have a mildly controversial take from a British perspective on this question about the respect and reputation of the league after post-Nancy. Do you remember in Mad Men when there's that scene in the elevator where Don Draper and his employee comes in and has a go at him, and the employee says, "I feel bad for you." And Don Draper turns to him and says, "I don't think about you at all." That's kind of what I feel about what, certainly the British perspective, maybe in European perspective on Major League Soccer, is it might not have affected the reputation because it's, I don't know how to say this without sounding disrespectful.
They don't care.
It's not on the radar. Mainly because of broadcast, I think, because the games aren't on at a time when anyone vaguely employable can watch them. So I think that's a big issue. It actually doesn't really sit on the radar at all, is kind of my perspective.
It depends on whose radar you're talking about, though. And I think there are two very different groups of people, and one matters a lot more than the other. I think. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe I'm naive. There's the fans' radar, which, Ryan, I think you're exactly right. There are very, very few people in the UK and in Europe as a whole who are watching MLS and who are really keeping up with the league. And that's going to take decades and decades, and maybe will never change, possibly, given the time zone stuff. But there's another entirely different group of people, I think a much more important one, a much more powerful and influential one, and that's the people running these teams. That is the sporting director class. Those people, you better believe those people know what's going on in Major League Soccer. I guarantee you, now more than ever before, whether it's in the Premier League, whether it's lower down the pyramid in the English game, whether it's the top of the Scottish game, whether it's Europe as a whole, now more than ever in MLS's 3 decades, those people are watching MLS games, they know the players that are worth knowing, and they know the coaches that are worth knowing. And that's honestly where I disagree with Graham. I think ultimately, I agree with your micro point about in maybe at Celtic, it'll be a really, really, really long time before they hire an MLS manager. I think that is very likely that it will take forever and maybe they never hire one. But I think the level of coaching in MLS is higher now than it's ever been. I think there are more legitimate candidates to make European moves than ever. And I think it's kind of a perfect storm. Even with the Nancy thing, I think it's the perfect storm of other decision makers at these leagues either investing in MLS, when you think about Bournemouth and now their Orlando City are part of their Black Knight, whatever, multi-club thing. More entities are investing real money into MLS. More of them are aware of the coaches, and the coaching talent is better. Right at the middle of that Venn diagram sits a very simple thing, which is more of these MLS coaches are going to move. So I think Nancy's failure, and it's a failure of Celtic, certainly as a whole, and he's included in that, is going to be a small step back. But whether it's Sorensen or Varis or Ramsey, I mean, Eric Ramsey was getting legitimately linked to the Strasbourg job. That's a huge step up for someone like that. Whether it's Callahan, I can't remember if I said him or not, right? Someone is going to move, and honestly, I don't think it's going to be all that much longer until it happens. So I suppose I don't really think this Nancy thing is going to do much outside of Scotland.
But you did say, Joe, you think it's a small step back. So I guess we're talking about like shades of grey here.
Yeah.
It seems like you think it's less of a step back than I do, but nonetheless, I think we're somewhat on the same page. I just think, look, I don't know how to. I can't relate to like European jobs because I'm not there. I don't really know how much the Nancy stuff registered in France or Italy and Spain or whatever. But obviously I'm subject to the British media. And so I think front offices, if they are considering an MLS coach, at least for the time being, like for the next 2 or 3 years, I think they will be wary of... I think front offices consider fan reaction more than we give them credit for. Whether they should or not is another debate. I think they will be wary of, we're going to get hit with the Wilfried Nancy accusations here if we hire this guy. Whether that's fair or not is, well, it's unfair, frankly. But I do think that's going to take a little bit of time to wash off, at least in terms of British football, certainly Scottish football. Like, I don't know. I mean, an MLS manager's probably not taking a Scottish job after what's happened to Wilfried Nancy. But yeah, I don't think from the other side many Scottish clubs are going to be going for MLS managers. As unfair as that is.
Taylor, anything to add here?
I think they've covered it really well. I've enjoyed this conversation quite a bit.
Good. There we go. Matt Busby, thank you very much indeed for your question there. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Weston McKennie and his numerous squad numbers. Let's get to that one shortly. Total Soccer Show, welcome back to our listener questions. Travis Beto has been in touch with this one. Weston McKennie has played 200 games for Juventus, and that's pretty cool. He's also had to change his number 3 times, as Travis can recall. I know young players sometimes earn their numbers, a la Yamin Lamor getting number 10 at Barcelona, having first had number 19. Do you know of any other players who've switched numbers 3 or more times while playing with the same club? Taylor, first of all, can we substantiate at least 3 squad numbers for Weston McKennie?
I believe we can substantiate 4. So, yeah. I'm then confused on, like, I guess he changed 3 times, but he had 4 different numbers. But either way, comes in with number 14, switches to number 8 in the 2022 season, ahead of the 2022 season, then switches to number 16. And then I think the season after that, a teammate comes in or a new signing comes in, requests the number 16. McKennie gives it up or maybe sells it, which can happen, and then he takes number 22, which is what he wears currently. So he's had the 4 numbers so far.
Do we think that's down to sort of player wrangling between themselves, or maybe agents who are, when a player comes in, that makes those kind of changes happen? Because I can't imagine, maybe Weston McKennie's just not bothered about the number he wears on his back, right? Because I imagine some players would fight for it, some wouldn't.
Yeah, I think that's how it works. I think some players really want a specific number that is personal to them, and then you'll have goal scorers tend to want to wear the number 9 or have 9 in it. So, like, you'll see young forwards coming through wearing number 39, for example, or I forget who it was who had 18, and then they put a little plus sign between it. Who was that?
Somebody Inter, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So you have that. You have historically significant numbers that clubs will award to certain players because you're kind of marking them as the next big star or the next big performer. Manchester United with the number 7 would be a prime example of that. And then, yeah, you'll just have players who just want to change it up or get a different look or maybe want to move down the order a little bit. And that is the other kind of consistent cycle with a lot of names that people will recognize is breaking through as a youngster into the first team. They're going to have a less glamorous number. Then they have a slightly more glamorous number when they become a squad player. And then when they become that kind of star performer, that's oftentimes when they get the more recognizable number. So Lionel Messi would be a really good example of this. When he comes through at Barcelona, he's wearing number 30. Then when he becomes a squad player, he switches to 19. And when Ronaldinho leaves, he gets the number 10 after that. Steven Gerrard also had 3 changes. Very similarly, goes from number 28 to number 17 to number 8. And then a final one, Angel Di Maria, just because he's a good example of what I was talking about with the significance of numbers at Real Madrid. When he's brought in, he's number 22. Then he gets number 11 when he becomes a more consistent starter on the wing. And after Ronaldo leaves, Di Maria is given the number 7 shirt or asks for the number 7 shirt. But either way, it speaks to that sort of like heir apparent taking over. I'm the person in charge now, so I'm going to wear that number.
And most of those numbers have trended downwards, right, to a lower number. Yeah. Whereas McKennie obviously has gone a little bit up and down
on
as well.
brand. Scattershot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. And you mentioned also, Taylor, players sort of trading maybe as well. I imagine McKennie's come in with, like, I've got this gallon of ranch. You can't get this here. Are you interested?
I would love for it to be a barter system of ranch. I think it's the NFL where players will pay like $5,000 for a number. Like it is crazy how much people will pursue a certain number, and you will have a star coming in saying, "I'll be wearing this number," and then the team has to very politely, but I think assertively, tell the person who's currently wearing that number, "You don't get to wear that anymore," which really does establish the pecking order pretty quickly.
Occasionally there's like a contractual thing as well. So the one I remember is Cristiano Ronaldo going back to Manchester United. I think Manchester United had to take 7 of Jadon Sancho. Yeah, and he joined in the same window. They had to change it like 2 months later, which that was a sign for poor Jadon Sancho of how his Manchester United career was going to go. Obviously because Cristiano Ronaldo is CR7 in terms of like his branding and his Nike deal and everything.
He was CR9, of course, famously.
When he joined Real Madrid, right?
Yeah.
So I guess that wasn't written into any contract at that point. But after 20 years of being CR7, he had to be that when he went back to Manchester United.
And now he's CR $. Has anyone tried to get Jadon Sancho the number 7 shirt at Villa? Is that the problem? Like, let's get him that number and see what happens. Maybe that's why it's all gone wrong.
Maybe.
The number of power.
That's one theory. Graham, I think I saw Marcus Rashford's had several. He had several Man United numbers. I think you'll still.
It is. It's John McGinn. I knew. Sorry, I went a bit quiet because I was like, I'm sure Aston Villa number 7 is John McGinn. So we all know who's winning in that fight. But he's got the backside to win that scrap.
There it is.
Marcus Rashford may have changed numbers. He wasn't on my list, Ryan, but I had another Manchester United one that came to mind when I read this question. I didn't even have to research it. I then backed it up. It's true. Paul Scholes. I remember when he came out of retirement, he couldn't get his old shirt number because obviously Manchester United had given it away. And I always remember Paul Scholes. So Scholes was one of my favourite players, still is to like this day. I love Paul Scholes. Not so much as a pundit, more as a player back in the day. He always had weird numbers. He never seemed to stick on a number. So he had 24, he had 22, he had 18, he had 10 for a season, which actually I didn't remember that one. And then finally, when he came back from retirement, he had 14. And he didn't really seem to care because other than 10, I wouldn't say any of those squad numbers were kind of sought after or glamorous. And he only had 10 for one season. So, he didn't care.
I'm going to say Paul Scholes didn't notice.
Yeah, probably.
I don't think that's a detail he would pay attention to. Below him, I'd say. Very good. Joe, any others to add here?
Frankly, no. I mean, basically the answer is this happens all the time, effectively. Now, McKennie's situation is interesting because he didn't come up through the Juve Academy. And a lot of the names that we've mentioned, even Messi, like he comes to Barcelona as a young guy, you go through and you shift your numbers as you get more established into the first team. McKennie came to Juventus as an adult, like as a grown, formed soccer player. And that he shifted so much, I think, is a hilarious mirror or maybe looking glass into his time at Juventus. Did we talk about why McKennie has switched most recently? Did that get mentioned so far or no?
Nope.
No.
He gave it up for his teammate, right?
Yeah, he gave it up for his teammate. So the story is, at least as it's been reported, is that his teammate, goalkeeper Michele De Gregorio, asked for McKennie's 16 because that was a number that his recently passed father had liked for some reason. I don't know the details on the rest of that. But McKennie gave him the 16, and then he started wearing 22. So that's kind of a fun little wrinkle to this all. But no, this happens a lot. Just funny that with McKennie, it's happened so much as a grown man.
I can't think of a specific instance, but I know over the years there's been several players who've changed their shirt number mid-season and have had to refund the fans who bought their shirt already. I can't.
Such a bad financial decision.
Definitely happened. Yeah, interesting.
I'm gonna start giving Graham large sums of money so that I can wear his shirts during the shows. That's just gonna mean a lot to me and my personal brand.
Does that mean I have to give the shirts away?
Yeah, but I'm gonna pay you, Graham. That's the whole ball.
No deal. No, I'd rather have the shirts.
Okay,
sorry.
Fair enough. I tried. How about ranch trade?
I don't even know if I like ranch.
Nah, you don't. Ranch is uninspiring.
It's there, it's fine, but
ranch is uninspiring. Oh my god, that might be the worst thing I've ever heard on this show.
Stefan Diggs, amongst his many headlines, is reported to have paid $100,000 to get the number 1 jersey.
What a smart, sharp, good guy. Just all the way around, brilliant.
Right. Graham's favorite player. He said.
Yeah.
Would any of us care about our squad number?
I used to.
I feel like maybe I did when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I wanted 7, was never that lucky. So settled for 11 for the team that I played for.
A settled for 11, which is one of the cooler numbers. I'd say. Yeah, that's good.
It's not as cool as 7 though.
I was a centre back, so I was often a 5 or 4. Yeah.
That's tough.
I one day dreamed of branding myself Ryan Ochocinco. It never happened, though.
There's still time for you, pal. The door's open. All you have to do is walk through it.
Oh, Rafi from the league. Do you know my buddy Mike? Mike Ochocinco? It's just not very often you run into the guy with the same Spanish numerals for a last name. such a good line. I wish that were you, Ryan.
Oh, I miss Taco and the gang. Travis Spito, thank you very much indeed for your question. Here's an excellent question from Jameson, submitted on our Discord. What's your best 11 of players whose names end with Enio, as in Fernandinho, Paulinho, etc., and so on? This is a hard question, Taylor.
Yeah, man. Especially because Enio is it's meant to show little, right? Similar to Spanish Ito, so Chicharito is little P because his dad was the big P. So I don't think your goalkeeper is going to want that one, and it seems like no goalkeepers really wanted to be known as little when it came to that name. So you don't have many options. I think there's a Portuguese keeper from the 60s, maybe. Graham, did you find one in your research?
I found one. The best I could do is a guy called Rubinho, not Robinho, it's a U instead of an O, who is a former Corinthians goalkeeper who stopped playing in 2018. He's the only goalkeeper I could find.
This has just occurred to me. Jose Mourinho's father, Felix Mourinho, was famously a goalkeeper, was he not?
I don't know.
Famously,
so famously that none of us know.
I mean, he's long retired, but I think that might be the one if we're allowed.
Jose's dad. We'll go with that. So if you go with Jose's dad in goal, then you have to be pretty flexible with what you're who you're playing and where. But I put Fabinho at right back.
Me too.
There we go. Marquinhos and Fernandinho as my two center backs. Apparently, Alexandro was initially Alexandrinho, so I'm just going to pretend like that's real. And then that gives me Jean Moutinho and Vitinha. I'm counting Inya in this one,
nice.
so Jean Moutinho and Vitinha in there.
That's
good.
the right answer.
I'm also adding Rafinha with that in mind on the right wing, Coutinho on the left wing, Juninho Pernambucano as my number 10 with Ronaldinho up top.
Wow.
He's not a striker. He can do whatever he wants. It'll be fine.
Your midfield is so much more functional than mine is.
Yeah, me too.
Wow. Are we allowing Vitinhas and...
Why not? I think Taylor gets creativity points there. It's really hard to do this. It's a lot harder than I thought it would be to do this. There's a lot of Enos out there. They're just all center mids, as it turns out. Basically all of them, nearly all of them. Yeah, I had some blanks in my team. So I had a blank in goal. I had a blank at left back. I didn't get creative enough to find Alexandrinho. That's so good.
I do not know if that's true. I just saw it written one time. I was like, good enough for me.
No, that's canon now. I didn't even know if we were getting away with Marquinhos because that
was the one
feels a bit sketchy. But I think we should allow it. If we get Ineos, I think we can take Enio. It does. It does. But the question says end with Enio. So, Taylor technically cheated 3 times, but that's okay. I have Marquinhos question mark, didn't know if it'd be allowed, and Fernandinho as my center backs. I have Fabinho right back, as I said. I went with Jorginho at the base of my midfield. Just a classy guy. Got to have one penalty hopper in my team. I have both Juninhos as my 8s, just because it just feels fun to have 2 guys with the same name. I have Ronaldinho on one side. I have Coutinho as my false 9, dropping into midfield. Again, another midfielder. And then I have someone who I'd never heard of before, which I'm probably showing my youth and ignorance. Jairzinho, who had 81 caps for Brazil in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. I'm sure he was a great player. So we're sticking him on the right wing. That's my team.
I think he was in the greatest Brazil side of all time.
Yeah, he's quite iconic. However, I've never watched him. Stopped playing in the 70s. But yeah, he's a name that I know.
There you go. That's my team. It's great. And I didn't even cheat very much.
Well done. Very good. Confirming, by the way, from Wikipedia that Felix Mourinho was a goalkeeper. Thank you.
There we go.
Done,
so we'll have Mourinho's dad as what level did he play? Doesn't matter. He was Mourinho's
Portuguese
dad.
level.
Right. Okay. Portuguese level.
Portuguese level.
So there's an obvious left back that we're all missing. Joe, this might be a little bit before your time, so apologies.
Luke Shoinio?
Silvinho, who played for Arsenal and Barcelona. Remember him?
I could have had Savinho. I could have had Savinho on my team. Sorry, that's a sidebar, but that's a huge mistake on my part. Keep going.
I mean, I'm sure there's ones we've all missed. But yeah, Silvinho's my left back.
I can't. Joe, were you being ironic just then? Or are you really that much of a Savinho stan?
Well, I'd rather have Savinho than, no offense to Jairzinho, but I've never seen that dude play soccer before, and I think more listeners probably know who Savinho is. So yeah, I feel like that was a mistake.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, Graham.
How many listeners do we have who watched
Brazil
soccer in the
70.
70s. Yeah, I mean to be fair, like the most iconic Brazilian team of all time. But yeah, I've not watched any of them. So I've got Silvinho at left back. I've tried to I've tried to find actual players for these positions, which forced me into some interesting places. A player called Matusinho, who is the current Corinthians right back, also played for Flamengo, so I've got him at right back. Marquinhos, I think we've all got a centre back. I've got Tinho as a centre back alongside Marquinhos, played for Vasco da Gama in the 90s. He was one of the few centre backs I could find with that name. And then we get to my midfield, which frankly I love. I don't know, I'm underselling it, but not sure if it would work in reality. Juninho Pernambucano is one of my midfielders.
Yeah, boy.
Then I've got the other Juninho, the Borough one, and then I've got Coutinho as my midfield three. All vibes, no structure whatsoever. And then I've got Ronaldinho on the left. I've got Gervinho, you know, the guy with the incredible hair. That's why he's in my teams, for the hair, on the right side. And then I've got Rubinho as my centre forward, which is, when he first went to Real Madrid, that's where he initially played. Wasn't outstanding in that position, but nonetheless, he's my centre forward.
Graham saying that Gervinho has incredible hair is really just a good reminder that he got his haircut in a fish store, is what I'm going to say now. Not even a tackle shop, but now it's actual place where you buy fish and get your haircut.
And that's what I asked for, the Gervinho, please.
One Gervinho, good
the
sir.
hairline
Forehead,
starts
central
here.
part, make it happen.
Is that the only mention of Rubinho we've had, by the way?
Yeah, he's problematic, right?
I left
Yes,
him
yeah.
out of my team. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple.
Apparently,
that
I've
had to be
got no
left out.
values.
Let's clip that audio, shall we?
Do you guys know how many? I think we all had a hard time with this question, harder than I expected, certainly. Do you guys know how many inho, like ending in inho, no s, there are in the big 5 European leagues who have played at least 1 minute this season?
Do you have an answer?
Everybody take it. Yeah, I have the answer. Everybody take
13.
a guess. 13 for Ryan.
How do you have the answer to this?
FBref has the big 5 leagues on there, and you can sort by player, and they've got every player who's played a minute, so it's like 1,400 players or something like that.
Then you can cross-reference by Inho?
I just searched it.
It's going to be low. I'm going to say 7.
Okay, Taylor.
What was the question again?
How many in the
Oh
big
my
5 leagues?
word.
How many? Okay. 4?
So there are 2,400 players. In
Oh,
my
wait.
apologies. There are zero with Inho. Marquinhos is the only
wait, I thought you were saying
Marquinhos.
there were 24.
No, there are 0 Inhos, like ending in Inho. In the big, there are Inhas, as we've said. There's an Inhos, and there's an they have Savio instead of Savinho. So he would be the one, I suppose, that you could say. But they have his name listed as Savio. So maybe there's a few others that have the EO or Inho, and FBref has somehow made them just all EOs. But that shocks me. That's very, very interesting to me that there aren't more Inhos at the highest level. Like, where have they all gone? They've all gone to Saudi. I'm done.
Evidently so. There we go. Jameson, thank you very much for your Inho-related question there. One more quick break. When we come back, we've got a time machine question. Join us then. Total Soccer Show, welcome back to our listener questions. We have one final question here from JCO54, submitted via our Discord. It says, you have a friend who has never watched soccer, a time machine, and a teleporter. What a combo. You've been tasked with making them attend 5 games in person during the past decade to make them fall in love with the sport. Which 5 games are you choosing? So this is 5 games to attend since, let's say, 2016. Graham, if you don't pick the 2022 World Cup final,
It's
I
going to
will
be on
riot.
everyone's list.
Yep.
Surely on everyone's list. I mean, probably the most entertaining, exhilarating big game in soccer history. Like, I don't think that's recency bias. Like a 3-3 World Cup final, an Mbappe hat trick, penalty shootout, Messi finally winning the World Cup. So there's like the narrative there as well. Yeah, I think just purely for the spectacle and the entertainment, that has to be on everyone's list, I think.
I think for modern games, it's up there. The only other one I think of relatively modern was the remontada, the Barcelona PSG, but that's outside of our 10-year window, isn't it? Which is, I think,
No,
Is
it's
it really?
2017,
No,
is it not?
It's in there.
Oh,
Yeah,
was
it's in the
it?
window. I was like, it's on my list, so I hope it's in the
Ooh.
window.
It was 2015 in my head, but there we go. Great, another one. Excellent.
They had a few, and PSG have had a few different collapses, so it all kind of blends together.
All right. Sorry, Graham. I'd love you to continue with your other 4 choices,
Do you want me just to list all 4 in one go?
if you want to, or you can just not say anything.
I mean, that would always be my choice in social settings. So my next match is maybe bias from me, maybe recency bias here, but Scotland 4, Denmark 2. I have never been in a stadium like that when the emotion was like so tangible. There were points when it was
Great pick.
like feral. I would shudder to watch a video of me when Kieran Tierney scored. It's probably quite embarrassing. But then at full time, there were people crying, including me. And I think after that game, the friend that we're taking to this match, I think might have a better idea of like why this stupid sport matters to so many people. So not just for the entertainment, but for like the emotion of it as well. That's on my list. I think my next suggestion, to truly understand soccer or sport in general, to be honest, I think you have to understand the romance of the underdog. That's kind of why we watch this whole thing, right? Is to see if an underdog can topple the big dog. And I think the best underdog story of the last 10 years is Leicester City winning the Premier League. And I think the game I will always remember from that season is Leicester beating Man City at the Etihad, because that was the game where I think we all realised that this was like real and that Leicester were genuinely going to win the title. It was in February 2016, so I just get in under the 10-year limit. So yeah, I think just for a little bit of that Leicester City story, I'm going to that game. My next suggestion, purely for the spectacle of the game itself and the way it swung back and forth, is Inter 4, Barcelona 3 from last season. Could have also said the first leg, which finished 3-3. Like, if I could combine the two of them, I would take that tie. And then my very final suggestion is something a little bit different. I want something to really hit home how soccer, in my opinion, is really about like the communities within the sport, and often how that community is like strongest at a lower level. So I am attending a match back in 2023 between Bury and Glossop North End in the North West Counties League, the 9th tier of English football. This was Bury's first match back after they were saved by their fans who raised the money to buy the club. They hadn't played at their own stadium for 4 years due to mismanagement, I guess, of the last regime. They packed the place out, 6,000 fans, they won 5-1, and I think there's something of the soul of soccer in that story and in that match. And I could have picked a number of different... Honestly, instinctively, I went to AFC Wimbledon, like their first game back after they were saved, but obviously that's longer ago than 10 years. So there's probably other examples than Bury, but I think I want something similar to that on my list of 5.
So we're done? We're done right now? Like Graham did it?
It's a great list,
I think I don't... That's an amazing list, Graham. And I really struggled with this, to be totally honest. I had the same mind blankness that you get when someone's like, "How's work?" And you're like, huge question. I don't know. I could not think of a single game I've watched.
Taylor, you don't
for,
immediately respond with,
minutes.
"It's great. I love my 3 coworkers, especially Joe." That doesn't,
Well, it's just because it's usually you excited about the World Cup, and I instinctively I'm like, not really. But I should be. I don't know. It's a bummer. But yes, I'm getting there. Resolution, going to be wonderful. But Graham, I thought those were incredible. And I might replace one of mine with the Scotland game, honestly, because I struggled with my last one. But I had the 2022 World Cup, for reasons already mentioned. I had the remontada, because that is just such a ridiculous comeback, and the way it happens, and Barca needing, 3 goals after the 88th minute, and then making that happen. That is the type of thing where I think anybody, if you are neutral, even if you kind of don't like soccer, I think you watch that, you see the goals, you see the atmosphere. I don't know how that doesn't kind of move the needle a little bit. I also had Spain v. England from the 2023 Women's World Cup final, because that felt like a massive step for Spain. It also, I think, was an interesting moment for a very good England team.
Didn't like that one.
But there aren't, I don't think, any other sports in the world that would have 70,000 plus people watching a women's game. Like tennis, golf, I don't think come close. The WNBA, I don't think comes close. So I think to see the popularity and intensity of the fandom for those two teams, and for it to be a very good game with a lot of talent on the pitch, I had that one there. The one that I would probably replace now with the Scotland game was Leverkusen 3, Bayern 0, which felt like a very similar one to what Graham was talking about with Leicester on a smaller scale. But with Leverkusen having not won the title in forever, and with Bayern having won it forever, I think to have that swing, to have it be as decisive as it was, it felt like a big moment. It felt like a really exciting time for that Leverkusen team, with a lot of exciting players who've now moved on, and a coach who's now moved on. I think that would be one. And then, similar to Graham, I went with something more kind of personal and a reminder of the smaller aspect of the game. So I went with Richmond Kickers, Forward Madison, July 3rd, 2024. I'll send a picture to you all or in the Discord or something, but that's the one where the Kickers won the Henny Derby in the last minute. My older daughter and I were front row as they scored. She got to play a drum and wave a flag and learn to sing a song and stuff, and was just super into it. And to see how scoring a goal can get a whole stadium so excited, but also get even little kids so like enraptured by the game and excited by it, I think would have to pull in a neutral person.
Lovely. Very good. Joe, your list.
I have a lot of overlap. No one will be surprised to learn. I wanted to make sure I included in here not just the great atmospheres and great games, but also the greatest player. And so we all have Messi in our list, but I think Messi has, at least amongst my friends, outside of the three of you, of which I have very few, my friends, like how I did that, they will watch soccer for Messi. They won't really watch soccer for any other reason. At least a couple of my friends. They are interested in watching Messi because he is singularly great. And I think that is a good way to hook someone on the sport, is to get to watch someone who can do something that no other person on the planet can do. And so the 2022 World Cup Finals on my list. I have the Barcelona 6-1 PSG Champions League comeback on my list, absolutely. In that game, by the way, as an aside, can I read you the Barcelona 11 from that game, where they know they have to score a bunch of goals to come back? They're 11. So they roll out a back three. This is according to Wikipedia, by the way. They roll out a back three. They've got TT, PK, and Mascherano. Then they've got Busquets at the base of midfield. And then this is the rest of the 11. Iniesta, Rakitic, Messi, Rafinha, Neymar, and Suarez. There are no other defenders on that team. There's no other outside backs. Like, it is just three defenders and hope for the best. It is awesome. I love that so much. That is on my list.
I thought you were a noted Rakitic hater. And,
I was going to bring that up.
And talent despiser.
I was not talking about the quality of any of those players, but simply the types of players that were on the field. The rest of my games, I have Liverpool's comeback against Barcelona in the Champions League. I have Inter's win over Barcelona that was mentioned already. And I didn't have a fifth one, and I do now. It's the Scotland game that Graham mentioned, because that is awesome. That game was so much fun, and I watched it from my couch. So if I felt like this on the couch, I can't imagine what it felt like in the actual stadium. I think it's interesting, without having heard Ryan's picks, I suppose, how much overlap there is. I didn't necessarily expect there to be so much consensus, but I suppose you really could make a best 5 or 10 games in the last decade, and probably we would all have 7 or 8 of them that would be the same in the top 10. I think that's interesting.
It is interesting. I suppose I would have the World Cup final, would have the remontada. I will go with Graham's Scotland game. I think there's an argument for Man United 4, Bournemouth 4. So I think that's one of the best games I've seen in a very long time. I know Old Trafford hasn't got the best atmosphere, though, so maybe it wouldn't be one for that, necessarily.
Just disregarding the water feature.
Yeah.
It's true. That is a very unique feature. And as my fifth place, just any game that Timo Werner was in, because he was so good.
Do you know the game that one of the games that I immediately thought of, and I thought it doesn't quite have like the gravity to make my list, but Spurs 1, Chelsea 4 from a couple seasons ago. The game that everyone went, wow, Big Ange is absolutely nuts. Like, remember that game where they got, was it 2 men sent off and he still had the defensive line on the halfway line, like they didn't drop off at all. That is, I think that's the most entertaining Premier League game, speaking personally, that I've watched in like the last 5 years. Like, I remember that game vividly.
In the spirit of mixing it up, but still incorporating Timo Werner, I might add I think it was the Champions League game when he's still playing for Leipzig, and they're playing Besiktas, where he asks to be subbed off because it is so loud in the stadium, it's causing hearing problems and like equilibrium issues for Timo Werner. I think that's maybe a good one to send a neutral to or a casual to see just how intense those games can be and how loud those stadiums can be. And then Ryan gets some Timo Werner fix as well.
That's a good point. There you go. I'll take one of those. Very good. I'll just say as a general point here, if I did have a time machine and teleporter, I'm going to look at dinosaurs. I'm not going to
100%. I'm disregarding the instructions and going to do something cool, you know?
Investing in Google.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's the one.
I'm going to go get on that Bitcoin train 7 years ago. Yeah.
I'm not investing. I'm inventing at that stage.
Very good. JCO54, thank you very much indeed for your question there. Thank you to everybody who has submitted one. If you'd like to do so, you can go to totalsoccershow.com/questions, or you can access our Discord server via our Patreon, patreon.com/totalsoccershow. All the cool kids are hanging out in there, including but not limited to us four. There we go. Another week of TSS is in the books. Taylor Rockwell, thank you very much indeed for all your contributions, sir.
Thank you very much, my friends, but especially Joe for at the end there reminding me that you could invent your own thing, though I would just go back in time and be like, light bulb? I made this fully functioning light bulb that I cannot explain and has Phillips written on the side. Don't ask questions. My name's
Make another one.
Fine.
That's how you get burned. That's how you get burned, Taylor.
Do you remember in the Austin Powers movie where Dr. Evil goes back and he plays One of Us by Joan Osborne and they're all amazed by it?
Yeah.
That was his thing. Very good.
That's
I'd do that. That's what I'd do. Graham Ruthven, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Ryan Bailey.
And thank you, Joe Lowry.
Thanks, Ryan.
Listener, thanks the most is to you. We'll be back on the feed very shortly. But for now, bye.